Hey, what's up, here, and it's time to snap at the meta with Battlecry Shaman. So this is a deck that I was originally planning on doing as the first deck for the new mini set, but because Snapdragon was bugged, I did not want to abuse a bug and showcase a deck that would not be at its full power once the bug actually got fixed. So now we're doing it instead. The basic idea of this deck is to try to abuse Snapdragon as much as humanly possible within the deck, with a bunch of the really good battle cries that Shaman has access to. Though most of the time, the games are going to turn out to be if you can freeze your opponent's board with Snowfall Guardian and just wham their face, but it wouldn't be a really good battlecry deck if I did not include one of the best battle cries in Shaman as it currently stands. And honestly, I figured Snapdragon would fit most at home in Shaman because of Volnar and Brilliant Macaw. So for the Mulligan guide of the deck, you're looking for cards like Azuran Scroll, Scalding Geyser as cards to keep in your open hand. If you get both of these cards in the same hand, you're in a really good position because you can just instantly dredge the Sunken Scroll from the bottom of the deck. Wind Chill is good if it's going to be a minion-based matchup. Sleepbreaker is a good minion for early game. Mankirk is also really good. Snapdragon is the one that you definitely want to see no matter what in your opening hand. If you see it, you're in a great position. And finally, Snowfall Guardian is the last card that I would consider keeping in my opening hand, as this is really good in minion-based matchups, though Multicaster does have some uses here and there. And the one card in particular that you're going to want to mulligan away is Twin Fin Twin, just so you can get most out of Snapdragon. With that all being said, let's look at some games. Alrighty, so time for a game against Paladin. We're going to mulligan away probably everything besides the wind chill here. Snapdragon is really cool to see in our opening hand. Maybe this game will actually go by abusing Snapdragon for once. Oh, and the Northshire Farmer is actually pretty good. I'm going to grab the Scalding Geyser, mainly because we can instantly get into it next turn. Okay, so we probably want to do something with their board. There's the Sunken Scroll that we put at the top of our deck. There's another Geyser if we really need it. Brilliant Macaw is actually pretty cool to see, but Sleepbreaker is probably the better bet. Okay, so here's the Snapdragon. That should be a 1/1 buff to everything in the deck, except for maybe 2 minions, I think. Okay, so if they keep the Snapdragon alive, we're actually in a pretty good position. Okay, we can actually copy this Snapdragon if we really feel like it here. Okay, so we're just gonna pop the Divine Shield, freeze the 3/1, draw in our card, getting a Multicaster, which is actually pretty good to see. It is a buffed up minion after all. Okay, so there's the second Snapdragon. Actually, it might be the third or fourth, depending on how many we actually got now left in the deck. We're just going to clear out the board a little bit, play the next Snapdragon, pass the turn back. Okay, so Bubblebot is a little bit annoying, but they don't have that many mechs, so we should be perfectly fine. Okay, so we're going to pop that Divine Shield, pop that minion, freeze the other one. Probably should have done it in the opposite order. Actually, I guess, no, we could have still done that. Let's see what we get here. Volnar and another Snapdragon. That's actually kind of funny. Okay, so we need a freeze, and that's exactly what we needed as a top deck. We can pop that Divine Shield because why not? And then freeze their entire board, and then we should be in a pretty good position from this point of view. Okay, so the Brilliant Macaw is actually pretty good, especially because we can put down the Volnar, freeze out their entire board. And then we can actually freeze out the entire board again using the Snapdragon. Why not, right? Snapping our way to the future. Actually, I guess it wasn't freezing the board, it was just buffing up our deck, which is actually pretty good too. I actually kind of wish I had room in here for Mr. Smite. Maybe that would have been a nice card instead of the Farmer, but you never know. Going to use our hero card here. Do 2 damage to all enemy minions. 6 to face, because why not? And then attack into their taunt. Kill one of their scaling minions, and then kill the other one just to be safe. They have 14 damage on board. They get a Mistress Might, we lose, but I'm hoping they just don't run it. Okay, so they get 2 more minions here. And we should just win next turn if they don't have any way to deny us face with any minions. And even if they do, unless it's a 3rd bubble bot, we're in actually a pretty good position. It's time to master this game with a Battleground Battle Master. Bran would have been nice, but we win the game anyways. Okay, time for a game against Hunter. This opening hand isn't the worst in the world. I'm probably going to mulligan both the Brilliant Macaw and the hero card away, just because we don't have any good targets for the Macaw yet. Sleepbreaker is actually a pretty good card instead, especially because if we can generate a Scalding Geyser like we just did, we are in a really good position. Though drawing into the Twin Fin is really annoying. Okay, so we're probably going to put down the Sleepbreaker. We could also use the Scalding. It really just depends on what the order we want to do. But putting down the Sleepbreaker makes a lot of sense, just because they're going to have to get rid of it instantly. Nice to know this isn't questline, so it's probably pure Naga. Or it's Big Beast. That actually makes the most sense. I think that is the most stereotypical Hunter deck right now. I want to do something with it, I just haven't had the time. Alright, so we can use the Geyser on the face. Use Sunken, or get the Sunken Scroll. We might get the Snapdragon. Snapdragon would have been nice too, just so we could have buffed stuff up. But we can instantly draw into whatever we want. And there's the second Geyser, and we can just grab the Snapdragon from the bottom of the deck. Though we do have 2 of the best targets in our hand for Snapdragon, which is a little bit frustrating. For some weird reason, whenever I'm playing this deck, Snapdragon's always towards the bottom of the deck, and Twin Fin's always towards the top. Well, there's Brilliant Macaw, which is actually pretty decent. There's actually a bunch of things we could do. We could use one of the Twin Fins. We could use the Geyser. Let's use the Geyser, grabbing the Snapdragon. And then we can freeze one of the minions again. Use our hero power. And then next turn we have the Snapdragon. And then the following turn we can use Brilliant Macaw if we really feel like it. Okay, we do have Snowball Fight to freeze their entire board if we really need to next turn. The Snowfall Guardian is pretty good as a top deck. But do we want to use the Snapdragon or the Snowball Fight? If we use the Snowball Fight, we're probably in a safer position. Getting the Snapdragon down as quickly as possible is probably better. We did get a totem that has Taunt, which is actually pretty good. Okay, there's a Mountain Bear. That's not really going to do anything. They're just going to clear out our board. Mountain Bear is perfectly fine. We could either use Macaw and a Snowball Fight in order to freeze the board while also having a second Snapdragon, or we could just freeze the board with the Snowfall Guardian, and then next turn we can use the Brilliant Macaw to refreeze the board. Oh, there's a third Macaw. Oh, well, let's put down the second one, and then just pass the turn back. And the next turn we can use the Macaw again to then use the Twin Fin just to trigger one of their secrets, because I'm assuming one's probably going to be Freezing Trap. And they always get the charge minion. I don't understand it. Whenever I'm playing that hero card, I never get the charge minion, but whenever someone's playing it against me, they always do. Oh, Bolnar is actually kind of funny. Let's see how big we can actually get him. I'm gonna freeze both of those. Let's get another freeze here. Alright, so it's unlikely they'll be able to actually deal with our entire board here. Trying to think of what they could have. Ozma would be really good if they are actually running him, but I don't know if anyone is. Okay, there's a second Mountain Bear. We are probably going to want to trigger the Death Rattle on both Mountain Bears just right away, if we can. Okay, we only will be able to do it on one. Let's see what the Freezing Trap is, and it is that, so we get that back to hand. Let's break one Death Rattle and then put down the Guardian. Probably should have hero powered there, but oh well. Now we have a 21, 24 Bolnar, and he's going to get even bigger now. He's going to be a dwarf no longer. He's going to dwarf the entire board. Okay, they're just gonna let that pass. We're gonna do that. We could have actually do something really funny. We could use the Twin Fin to double that battle cry, or we could just get Bolnar even larger. We could use the multicaster. I think freezing the board is a lot more funny here. Get him to as large as humanly possible. See if we can get another freeze. Neptulon isn't another freeze, but it's actually pretty decent. Again, probably should have hero powered first. We're finding out that is Ice Trap, so we don't have to worry about that. We have a 5760 Bolnar. I don't think I've ever seen him be bigger than that. And we're in the one matchup where I don't think they can actually get rid of it. Then we just whack them for a bunch of damage here, I guess. Okay, time for our game against Warlock. We're going to get rid of the farmer and then keep everything else here. The farmer I actually almost wanted to cut out of the deck. I just don't know what I would put in as a 30th card is the main issue. Maybe some more direct damage. We can freeze their Murloc if we really feel like it, or just instantly kill it. Let's see what we draw here. Multicaster is pretty decent. Okay, we're going to put down Sleep Breaker. Hopefully they'll actually attack into our minion, but you never know. I actually kind of regret not doing a Battlecry Murloc Shaman, but figured I can get 2 videos if I just separate the two. And I don't think you want to just run all Battlecry Murlocs in that type of deck. Rather run some really cheap ones so you can abuse the Pyromancer. Going to freeze this one up. There's a second multicaster. That's, what, 2 draws, I think, because we have Fire and Frost in rotation. Okay, they're going to play a War Leader. Come on, overextend here. If you overextend next turn, you can just keep freezing the board for a few turns. Oh, for 3 turns at this point. Well, we can freeze one of their minions here. Freezing the 5/4, because why not? See what we draw at the Twin Fin. Don't really want that yet. We're going to put down Mankirk and then pass the turn back. And I guess we can just start freezing the board if we really feel like it here. Or do we want to wait until they overextend a little bit and get an entire board? How much do we want to be greedy? Just going to probably go for it. Sure, it's going to be a little bit smaller than normal, but we do have additional copies of it in our hand, basically. Okay, they're going to buff up their entire board and their entire hand. This will get real frustrating real quickly if we don't have a way to just keep freezing the board. Now, the brand is actually really funny here because we can just freeze the board twice, get really, really big Mech. Hopefully they won't be able to deal with it in one turn, but you never know. Okay, they're going to hero power. Really, they only need, I think, 2 Murlocs that are buffed up a bunch. And that is one of the Murlocs I did not want to see. Okay, maybe they won't be able to do this. Oh, never mind, they will. At least they won't be able to kill Brand too. That's actually pretty decent. Unless they want to hard target the Brand. Oh, they have a tiny fin. Oh, there goes our Brand. We can still freeze the board for the next turn, depending on what we actually top deck. And that's a decent top deck in theory. We can play down the last Guardian here, freezing the board once more. Pass the turn back. Gonna have to actually start dealing with the board pretty soon, or we're just gonna lose. So, okay, Snowball Fight actually helps us for another turn. Okay, we can just go face again. Use Snowball Fight, see what it hits. Hopefully it'll hit enough where we don't have to worry. And it does hit their entire board, which is really good. And now we can use Multicaster to draw a few cards here. Jarn Scroll and Lightning Bolt are actually pretty good, especially if we can generate some type of spell that does direct damage off of the scroll. Okay, so we really are going to have to rely on the scroll to give us something. Another Snowball Fight is actually pretty good. We can use it again to stall this out. Hopefully it'll hit everything. Most likely it will, and I guess it won't. We can actually freeze again, see what we get from a top deck. Oh, the second lightning bolt, that's actually pretty good. And then we can use the amalgam to see if we can get anything else, and that's lethal right there. The Baron Geddon is actually a pretty funny way to actually win this game out. Well, good thing we have perfect lethal in our hand. Well, that actually also gives us lethal, but it's much funnier to win with Geddon. Alright, now that we're through the games, let's discuss my final thoughts of the deck. Overall, the deck performed incredibly well. I had a 52% win rate across 23 games, which is actually pretty decent overall. It got me back into plat, as I haven't really been playing much standard, given the amount of mercenary content that I've been putting out. There's even more on the way that I may or may not scrap, it really just depends. And this is an easy deck for me to recommend. It only really uses one new card, and most of the other cards in this deck were already commonplace in Shaman decks, or are just stereotypically good Battlecry minions. With that being said, though, if you enjoyed the video, please leave a like, comment, and subscribe, and until next time, bye-bye.